What's up, everybody, and welcome back to TarHeelIllustrated.com, or, of course, if you are watching on our fast-growing YouTube channel. It's Tar Heel Illustrated. I'm THI staff writer Jacob Turner, and joining me from Cameron Indoor Stadium, Durham, North Carolina, it's our very own publisher, Andrew Jones. And AJ, we're here for another Three Things video following Carolina's 63-57 loss to the Blue Devils. Carolina dropping to 15-8, 7-5 in conference play. Now lost two straight. Just been a bad week for Carolina, which we'll hit on a little bit later in this, and Duke improving to 17-6, 8-4. So not only a big game for the rivalry, but obviously another big game in terms of ACC implications, and Carolina dropping another one. So real quickly, AJ, let me run through some stats. Armando Bacot, 14 points, 10 boards, led the way. Leaky Black, 13 points, 10 rebounds. Caleb Love, 12 points, 4 assists. RJ Davis, 11 points, 5 boards, 5 assists. So, first thing I want to hit on is, and you asked the players about this, so I really want to get your opinion on this as well. If you guys haven't seen the interviews, go check it out on our YouTube channel after this. And it was completely evident down the stretch, apparently, but it just seemed like there was a point in the game, and really for large parts of it, certain plays Carolina ran or tried to run, Duke just kind of sniffed out a lot of sets that Carolina was trying to do. I think one thing that kind of illustrates that, particularly down the stretch, we're going to hit on a little bit later too, is Armando Bacot didn't even attempt a field goal in the last 12 minutes of the game. And when that's your guy, that's your best player, that's your go-to guy, that's just a recipe for disaster going up in a game like this. So, but I want you to explain a little bit more, AJ, from what you saw in Cameron Indoor, because again, I know you asked the players about it, thought they gave some pretty good answers and agreed with you in a lot of ways in terms of Duke sniffing out Carolina sets, but expand on what you mean by that and kind of what that looked like tonight.
Yeah, the player interviews didn't last long because they kind of got him out of there pretty quickly. But I did talk to Leaky, RJ, and Caleb, and all three of them agreed with the premise that, you sniff them out. It's one thing for a team to know what you're going to run and still not be able to defend it. It's another thing for them to know what you're going to run and they stop it from doing it. I thought Carolina, a year ago, they came to this building and dominated them with ball screens.
Yeah.
Tonight, they got barely anything from the ball screens. I mean, there wasn't one. I don't remember. I can't recall off the top of my head. Carolina got one bucket on a big rolling after a ball screen. And how many shots there was one, Caleb or RJ took a three of a ball screen from Pete in the second half, top of the key. I don't think it didn't go in. But my laptop is on the shaky thing right now, so pardon me, and they're breaking stuff down. So
you're good.
So I'm kind of there's turbulence here, since there's a lot of turbulence here in this video. But I think that the fact that Carolina was so insistent on going into and running their set plays and didn't go freelance, when freelance I think would have been a better approach in this game. Some older guys who know how to play off defenders and can make a lot of stuff happen. You could get a lot of they're doing stuff here, so bear with me.
It's like an earthquake in there, man.
You could have a lot of two-man stuff going on with the freelance and be effective with it. And they didn't really have that. I mean, there were a couple of sequences, but I think it was RJ or Leaky said they went. I asked RJ, I said, how much freelance you guys do? And he said, well, then we kind of stopped the set. We had to go freelance after that, which was true. But when you're trying to go freelance after a set doesn't work, you're halfway into the shot clock at least, and suddenly there's a little lack of composure that sets in, which I thought was the case. Leaky called it a hero ball, and then he kind of recanted. He didn't recant, but he kind of took it back a little bit. There was a lack of discipline. There was guys, some of them that were way too rushed with some stuff, especially the second half. For every play that Caleb makes, you think, man, this is why so many people love his potential. Then you have a play where he drives on 1-on-3 and plummets to the floor hard, and the ball never gets near the rim. That was back tonight. That was kind of back the other night too. So, man, I could pick at a lot of things, and they're going to pick at him too. Hubert was not in a great mood afterward. They attempted 27 threes and only 18 layups. He was asked about the 27 threes tonight. He kind of got a little defensive. And a couple weeks ago, he told us after Boston College, 28 threes is too many.
Yeah.
So I think that they should have been better, more effective going inside. I think they maybe could have gotten more stuff through freelance. We got a young Duke team that scouted Carolina really well, and they stuck to the scouting report. Carolina didn't force them to deviate from the scouting report. with an older team against a young team, an older team that used a lot of freelance situations to get to a national title game last year. I just thought it would have been a better approach. And I'm not criticizing Huber. I'm just saying what I think would have been a better approach for the game. In the end, I still think this team, with the experience it has, with the talent that it has, with the how well these guys have played at times, still should be able to execute the set plays and win a game in here against this team. This is not a vintage Duke team. Not a vintage Carolina team, but this Carolina team is at least achieved. And they came in here and pounded a much better Duke team last year on a night for the ages. And they came in here tonight, and the young team was the more composed team going down the stretch. They were more physical defensively than Carolina was offensively. Nance had a tough time with Filipowski. The only time he ever got any distance between a defender was on the perimeter, and they're basically saying, go ahead and shoot me outside.
Shoot it, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, and then Armando couldn't get open. I thought Derek Lively, we'll talk about this in a second, but I thought Derek Lively did an amazing job of limiting Armando's touches. So the offense was bad. It was bad after about the first 14 minutes. They were on a high assist rate for a while. And I don't know what the final assist total was, but they're 34% from the floor.
Yeah, it was 12 assists for Carolina, 10 for Duke. So they did finish off with more, but
well,
I mean,
but that to me, that doesn't. The point of this part of the topic. This topic is Carolina's offense. I just thought that the set plays were sniffed out.
Yeah,
the players agreed with me, and maybe more freelance would have made more sense in this game. So it was it's two straight bad looks offensively. And RJ, by the way, is 8 for 31 the last two games after injuring the finger against Syracuse. So with a healthy finger, RJ Davis is having a great year shooting the ball. With the bad finger, he's been really, really struggling in the last two games. 8 for 31 from the floor, 1 for 11 from three. When he does that, they're not going to win games.
No,
because honestly, Jacob, I thought, and I'm going to have a note in one of my many write-ups tonight, but I thought that they looked pretty good offensively for a while in the first half. Some of the sets were effective.
Yeah.
And then RJ picked up a second foul, came out, and their offense turned into a mosh pit.
Mm-hmm.
And they struggled. They were outscored, I think it was 11-5 or something, or 11-4 when RJ was out. And Hubert's like, I got to put him back in. Like they were up 24-17 at one point. And I thought, wow, they got a little mojo going. They got you. I think that was when Puff hit the three. And I thought they had a chance to maybe build a little bit of a margin because they looked like the better team up to that point. But RJ was out and the offense looked rudderless, and they really never regained themselves the rest of the game.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I think the start to the second half was bad too. It was kind of a weird game. You mentioned, like, I thought in the first half it kind of to me, I thought Carolina for the most part was a better team. And I tweeted at halftime, I think it was RJ, Nance, and Love or something at halftime had combined for like 5 for 17 or something like that. And Carolina's only behind by 1. And I'm like, okay, like Carolina's not necessarily playing great. Three of your core guys aren't shooting the ball very well, but you're only behind by 1. And to me, that was a positive. And I still felt like Carolina was a better team in the first half, but that script really flipped kind of out the gates in the second half.
They trailed at halftime, and they still trailed at halftime.
Yeah, it was still a 1. Yeah, exactly. But I think there was room for growth because a lot of the guys, even despite only being behind by 1, they had guys that just weren't producing in the first half. You thought they might get it going in the second half, and they didn't. What is Pete Nance 1 for 10 on the night, and RJ Davis, not a good night for him either. So that just really never got him going, and it felt like in the second half that Carolina was never going to win, at least in my opinion. So let's keep it moving. Second thing I want to talk about, Derek Lively. And two things kind of in a way. I know you've hit on these a little bit, but Derek Lively in the second half in a lot of ways dominated Armando Bacot. Again, I'm going to say it again. Armando Bacot didn't score attempted field goal in the final 12 minutes of the game. And in a lot of ways, it's kind of mind-boggling when you think about it. You have to give credit to Duke, and you have to give credit to Derek Lively for making Armando's life difficult in the second half. But still, there's more than just him missing shots or not playing well. A lot of that was just not going to him, and that's your guy. That's the one you want to have the ball down the stretch. So that's a big concern. And again, another recipe for disaster in a game like this. And I know you hit on it earlier, but Pete Nance 1 for 10, never got it going, didn't look comfortable out there in a lot of different ways. And again, I know he's struggled, been kind of up and down this season. Injury hasn't helped, but when you got two of your bigs producing like that,
it's not fitting in. It's not fitting.
Yeah, it's just not. You're never going to win.
I asked Hubert Monday, and this was when they were still on a 4-game win streak. I asked him Monday if Pete was still trying, is he still a work in progress for the minute? He said, yeah, I think that was abundantly clear tonight. It was abundantly clear to me.
Mm-hmm.
When he went to, he took Pete out to struggle a lot and interacting. Puff, I thought that they were a little bit better when Puff was on the floor. I thought spreading Duke out and forcing the bigs to move their feet a little bit more, I thought was a wiser approach. This guy's going to come over here soon. As far as Armando and Lively go, with 20 seconds left, it was a 4-point game. Carolina had the ball. They called timeout. Armando goes down to a lower block to stand there. The play hadn't started yet. Duke plays out. Lively walks over and says, you're not going to, that's going to touch the ball. And he touched the ball. Lively was bouncing like the Duke reporters I talked to said this was by far the best game he's ever played. 2 points on a putback flush, but 14 rebounds. He had what, 9 block shots?
I think it was 9 blocks, yeah.
9 blocks. And how many shots did he affect? There were multiple times when the guards for Carolina thought about driving and then pulled out Duke because he was in the vicinity.
Yeah.
So he affected a lot of possessions. He in the first 10 minutes of the game, he touched the ball 5 times in defense, with 4 blocks and a goaltend. And even the goaltend kind of psychological stuff right there sometimes. And he's there. He's a praying mantis that's going to get that stuff.
It's affecting shots,
Yeah, I think, what did Armando finish? 14-10? You have the stats in front of you?
Yeah, Armando was 14-10.
Okay.
And Lively had 8 blocks, not 9, but.
Okay. Armando had 2 points and 3 rebounds in the second half. I looked at him touches. I thought Freelance would have allowed him instead of screening so damn much up top and trying to roll down, go down the block, seal, because he's bigger and stronger than Lively, force Lively to play over him some and create that way. And they didn't do it. I just thought that the Tar Heels did not adjust properly and didn't really make a lot of adjustments in the second half. This is 2 straight games and when their best player is not a main cog in what they're trying to do offensively. And we saw what happened in the first several weeks of the season when he wasn't, and they were losing games. So now they kind of look like the last 2 games is sort of a snapshot of what we saw there for a while through Virginia Tech. And he wasn't getting touches. He played Virginia Tech still. He wasn't getting touches. And they've lost 2 in a row. 2 games that they were in position to win. So that just tells you the importance of, in the middle part of the game, be good on every possession. Make the most out of every possession. Because when people say, oh, you hit free throws at the end of the game because that's where it counts. If we hit them earlier, you may not have to hit them later. So if they're effective going to Armando in the middle of the game and make little adjustments that have to get him the ball in the middle of the game, then you don't get into a situation where you're stressed out and you haven't taken a shot in 12 minutes. I just thought the Tar Heels did not handle really anything offensively well from that call.
Guys, apologies for AJ's audio being a little bit quieter on that run. He's got to leave. Yeah. Oh, of course, right? As soon as we start rolling on this. I mean, again, if we waited for him to stop, we'd probably be maybe 2 hours from now. So we'll just keep it rolling, AJ. Again, let's finish this up real quick. What this means for the Tar Heels. Again, big step backwards this week. 2 tough losses, 2 big losses for a number of different reasons, which I'm sure we'll talk about later this week in our next UNC basketball show. But big games coming up. It doesn't get any easier for North Carolina at Wake Forest on Tuesday night. And you got Clemson and Miami both at home following that. And I'm not even going to rattle off the rest of the schedule because, like I said, it doesn't get any easier. So, AJ, big step backwards this week, I think, is pretty safe to say because, again, you mentioned them not being looking like the experienced team tonight and really against Pittsburgh as well. That's a big cause for concern going into the toughest stretch of the year for the Tar Heels.
Yeah, bad look. You know, I was saying all along, I thought that they were making progress, and I still thought that the chance this team could become what a lot of us thought they were, but they're running out of time, Jacob. They've got 8 games left. They're 23 games in. They're still trying to fit defense into things.
Yes.
This is no disrespect to Pete whatsoever. Basketball players, teams are like puzzle pieces. You have to mesh and fit. It's not fitting right now. And that puts Hubert in a very difficult situation because what does he do? Do you play Puff a lot? I don't know because he's gone back to not playing the bench. The bench has played 142 minutes in the last 5 games. That's 142 out of 1,000 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be the lowest percentage of bench usage in the country if you were to look at the percentages. So overall. Notre Dame's last in the country at using its bench at 15.4%. So 142 minutes and 1,000 out of 1,000, that's 14.2. So the bench players have looked less comfortable when they come in lately, a little bit more hesitant, less confident. I'm not saying it's Hubert's fault. They've been in bigger games. So as the games have gotten big, as somebody sitting next to me said during the game tonight, well, it's one thing for DeMarco to go in the game on the road at Louisville and be confident. It's a different thing for him to come in here and be confident. So that's kind of what you're looking at right now. A lot of the prongs of this team that were heading in the right direction a couple of weeks ago, even a week ago, have reverted. Everything has reverted. And I know that I said the other day, you know, sometimes these Duke Carolina games, you really can't really take too much into it. But I did say sometimes you can. And I think tonight, when they have two guys that were on last year's team, Duke does. The rest of the freshmen are new guys. They're the more points team. They're the more together team. They look like the club that handled adversity in game better. And Carolina didn't. And Carolina's the club that was running it back. Redemption and all that kind of stuff. And none of those things should even come up right now because this club is going to now have to fight to even make the tournament. They have 8 losses right now. They went to Brooklyn for the ACC tournament with 8 losses last year. And they have 8 now, and they've got to go to Wake. And they got Clemson. And they got Miami. They got Virginia still. They got Duke still.
State.
They have road game, and they got to go to State.
Yeah, Florida State. I mean, it doesn't get any easier, man. It really doesn't.
I know in college basketball, things look dire one week and they completely flip the next week. I get that. And this team is certainly plenty capable of flipping that narrative. But right now, it doesn't look too good. Right now, it doesn't look like the mojo with this club was where it needed to be at crunch time tonight. It wasn't there at all against Pitt. And I asked Archie, I said, are you surprised that you guys aren't getting to that next gear? And he said, I don't want to say surprised, but I'll say frustrated. Well, if you're frustrated, it's because you're surprised. And I get that. So he is, and I get it. And they should be. And the way out of it is kind of easy, but the way out of it is also really hard. Because they have 23 games in which they haven't looked great yet. They look great at times. And they haven't been blown out yet. So they haven't looked god-awful like last year's team did at times. Maybe this is who they are.
Yeah. Maybe
they're a 9 seed, and they're going to play like a 9 seed the rest of the way. Maybe that's who they are. I don't know. But this week was a bad look. It was a bad look for this team. And not much else I can really say about it. We got to go over to Wake Forest against on Tuesday, so I'll have another chance to take a look at them and see what they do and what will be a difficult environment against a very hungry team. So then when we do our 3 things after that, we'll say, okay, this is what they are now after rebounding from this last week. Maybe they play great and they disconnect and they move on and they catch lightning again. Or like I said, maybe we're starting to see this is who they are.
Yeah, and it might be.
If this is who they are, don't make any reservations for Houston.
No, and it might be. I said it after the game, but I can't quite put my finger on what's wrong with this team, but I think I can't quite put my finger on it because I don't think it's just one thing. You know what I mean? I think there's a lot of different parts. Not only
they don't have a great mojo. They don't have great mojo.
Yeah, they don't play like an experienced team in these when you expect them to.
I have to be honest and do my job. They don't have great mojo.
Yeah,
so it kind of begins there.
You got to get that fixed.
There are other things to achieve, but it begins with that.
Yeah, and who knows if it'll turn around. Like I said, time is ticking, and it's ticking fast.
You can see it blowing behind you.
It's like a tornado going on by. Like you about to get swept away, AJ. Hey, we'll let you finish. You got to love it, man. We've talked about it. It's a joke now, AJ. Anytime we do 3 things, you know something's going to happen. So just get used to it. It comes with the territory.
Let's go ahead and close this out. I've got about 5 hours already.
Yeah, no
and
doubt.
They're actually waiting for me to leave something.
Hey, we'll get them their wish because it's pretty evident they want you to get the heck out of there. I've been Jacob Turner.
I got a spot in the press room. Sometimes they'll always get a spot in the press room.
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited about that. I got to go in there and watch.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I've been Jacob Turner. He's been Andrew Jones. Another episode or edition.
My guys get some airtime.
We'll see. AJ, I'm going to let you get out of there, man, because God knows it's going to happen if we stay here another minute longer. Appreciate you guys watching. See you on the next one. Thanks.